All right, everybody, so we have some examples here today. The bottom two, you're going to notice they're going to tell you exactly what to do, so you have to use synthetic, you have to use long division. For the top ones, you do have a choice, so depending on which one you prefer, you can do. Because I know that synthetic is new for a lot of us, I'm going to do extra synthetic examples, so I'm going to do 1 and 2 that way. And then we'll have the final opportunity, number 4, to practice some long division. The first thing that we want to do is set our divisor equal to 0. After that, we want to identify all of our coefficients, including their signs, to make sure we're not skipping degrees. So we go from 2 to 1 to 0 variables, so that's okay. So we can do 1, 5, and 1. We're going to put our answer here inside of our box, and then after this we follow some key steps. So if we are below the line, we multiply, and if we're above the line, we add. So the first step in this process is we drop the 1 below the line, and because this 1 is below the line, we're going to multiply it with -3. So -3 times 1 is -3. Now that we are above the line, we can add these two terms together. So 5 minus 3 gets us 2. We are again below the line, so we're going to do 2 times -3 to get -6. And then we are now above the line, so we want to do 1 minus 6 to get -5. So the way that it works from here is we have our remainder, we have our constant term, and we have our first degree term. So constant term is also known as our 0 degree term. So first degree term has 1 variable, our constant has no variables, and our remainder is always over what we divide by. So we divide it by x plus 3, so we know it's going to be over x plus 3. For our second one, a similar setup. I'll do this one a little bit more quickly now. So we have x minus 5, we can set that equal to 0. So we solve for x is equal to 5, we know that that goes in our box. In terms of degrees, we go from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. So again, not skipping any steps, which is good. From here, we drop down our coefficients. We drop our first number. It's below the line, so we're going to multiply here. So 2 and 5 are the terms that we multiply to get 10. Above the line, again, we are adding. So -11 and positive 10 get us -1. And then we follow those same steps from here. So again, multiply below, add if we're above. 9 minus 5 is 4, times 5 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. So remainder, constant, first degree, second degree. So 2x squared minus 1x plus 4. We always want to write that remainder. So here is 0 over x minus 5. So again, in this case, in future courses, you don't have to write that, but it's just good to get in the habit of always writing down a remainder. That way you don't forget that as a place value holder. All right, so number 3, synthetic specifically. So n plus 3 equals 0. So again, following these same steps. Again, n is equal to -3. We'll put that inside of our box here. And the one thing we want to note here is we go from 4 to 3 to 1 to 0. So we're missing a 2. So what that means is we have to put in a 0n squared term because we can't skip any degrees. So if you don't have that term, put in the 0. In this case, we have 1, 5, 0, -6, and 3. And we follow the same steps. So drop the first term, multiply by what's in the box, add what's on top, multiply again, add what's on top, multiply again, add what's on top, multiply again. So we have our remainder 0, 1, 2, and 3. So x to the third plus 2x squared minus 6x plus 12. And then all -33 over all of n plus 3 is our remainder term. For our last question, we specifically must use long division, so set it up the old-fashioned way. We're going to have x minus 2 on the outside, and then 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. And our job here is to make this term match this term exactly. So almost like when we were doing elimination of systems of equations, we want this to exactly match. So x times what gets us 2x squared? So 2x. And what we're going to do is we're going to distribute this 2x into each of our terms here. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. So now the step that we do is we are going to change the sign of both of these terms. So we're going to make this negative and make this one positive. And once we do that, we can combine these. So 2x squared minus 2x does simplify to 0. And then 3x plus 4x does get us 7x. From here, we can continue our process, drop down that next term, that negative 4. We are going to multiply again to make this 7x match with the x we have over here. So to do that, we have to multiply by positive 7. So 7x minus 14. Again, that 7 gets distributed to both of those terms. And again, we bring out that red pen and we change both of our signs on the bottom. So after doing that, we see elimination again, and we see a final answer of 10. So once there are no x's involved, we have our remainder, so 10 over x minus 2, because we are dividing by x minus 2. And that is going to be our final answer to this question. If you have questions, definitely let us know, but good ideas if you want more practice to pop into Canvas for the 3.3 guided practice, and I'll give a bunch more examples of each of these.